y'all ready to bring this meeting to order? Okay, wink, wink, over to you. Gavel in. Planning Commission meetings are quasi-judicial in nature. All decisions of the Planning Commission will be based on competent, substantial evidence. Yes? I'm so sorry. My first time with the new hardware here,
These
and
are
I'll
new.
slow down as well. How about that? All right, thank you for that. The Planning Commission meetings are quasi-judicial in nature. All decisions of the Commission will be based on competent, substantial evidence, including testimony provided in this meeting. Any person who is not an applicant or agent that wishes to speak will need to fill out a speaker's card located on the side table by the door and turn them into the clerk over here. Each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak on each item. Please refrain from speaking from the audience, and applause or cheering will not be allowed, except for after I finish here. Please silence your cell phones. Let's get this started. So let's do a roll call, see who we have in attendance today. Margot Maring.
Dean, that'll be me. I'll be taking the roll call. Thank
Even
you so
better,
much,
thank you.
though. David Dahl.
Here.
Margot Mooring. Nicholas Andrews. Debbie Cole.
Here.
Justin Henderson. Dean Haddock.
Here.
Matthew Filer.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
We have no minutes.
Yeah, we have no minutes this week.
No minutes from the previous meeting. We will skip that one then. Are there any correspondence to bring to the attention of the chair?
Yes, so on the dais you should have, there are actually two versions of the same document. One's just prepared in a little more professional manner. These are site plans related to item...
I'm sorry, could you please speak into the microphone? That's why we have the microphone.
Yes, sorry. I don't know which one this is.
Well, see, when y'all speaking, you just talk like you're sitting there. We can't hear you because you're not speaking directly into the microphone.
Like this? Does this work all right?
That's much better.
Okay. I guess that's what we're going to do because we want you to hear. That's why we're here.
This is brand new mics, brand new AV here, so it's all of our first time with the new equipment. So sorry about that, Christian.
Sorry about that. So the two items that you have are related to PC 0425, so the last item. And then I do have another document, but I only have one copy, so I'm going to pass it around now. This is related to the first item, which is PC 0125.
Thank you. Are there any disclosures of ex parte communications to share from the council, or excuse me, from the PC? Does not look like it. We don't have any old business on the agenda, so let's move on to new business. Assuming this is me to continue emceeing here, this is PC number 0125, 130 80th Avenue North. Do we have public comment? Anybody wishes to speak on this particular matter?
We actually, we're going to do the staff report first.
Okay.
Dave should have any cards that were entered.
I have the correspondence. And for 0125, Judith Roberts has a card, speaker request form.
I'm going to go ahead and go through the staff report real quick, and then we can open the public hearing.
Okay.
So this is PC 0125. It's a conditional use application. The property is located at 130 8th Avenue North. It's an application for a 2-unit multifamily dwelling located in the C1 Commercial Zoning District, pursuant to Section 34-342 D-15, using the RM1 standards of the Jacksonville Beach Land Development Code. The request is for a conditional approval to address a unique situation of a property located in the C1 Commercial Zoning District. The property was part of an approved conditional use application from 1998. At the time, this property, which is currently a single-family structure, was combined with 2 other lots and 2 other structures. and they were permitted as one large multifamily project. Since that time, this particular lot has been split off into different ownership. It is now currently a single-family home in the C1 zoning district, which is not an allowed use currently under this code. The applicant is proposing to do a 2-unit multifamily, which is the lowest intensity use allowed in the C1 zoning district. The surrounding uses are a mix of different types of residential. Sorry, I lost my place. Mix of residential, single family, and multifamily in the form of condos and single family homes. Overall, a multifamily use is consistent with the C1 zoning district standards and is consistent with the surrounding commercially zoned mixed use properties, multifamily use properties. The proposed use for a 2-unit multifamily structure should not negatively affect the surrounding uses. Based on the application and analysis in the staff report, the Planning and Development Department is recommending approval of PC 0125. Also, it's worth noting that there is a companion application for a variance going before the Board of Adjustment, so this is not the final stop on the train.
Cool. So as a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak. When we open the public hearing in just a second with the gavel, does any board member have any ex parte communications on this matter? No. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give any presentation that they have to share?
All right. Please, each of you, raise your right hand and state your name and address. Raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Lakes Boulevard.
Timothy Whalen, 1217 Bellhaven Lane, Ponte Vedra.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? All right. I'm not seeing anyone, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Oh, presentation. Sorry. Then we'll open the public hearing. Anything to share with us?
We would like to address the actual property on site, and we provided some copies of the plans that are also on the screen. The idea here is just to have 2 simple units of singular families as a multi-use on the same grounds, same scope of work that it was used before, and also it's consistent with the same space that the lot has. Nothing to be extended, nothing to be changed from initial perspective times 1997. It is noted as before that the lots have been separated because they all were compounded on one singular owner for all of them. And as the years have passed, the change of owners have come to our attention as of right now. Again, emphasis on the fact that we do not want to change the structure furthermore than what it is in space. Any questions from the board that you guys may have for us to address?
No questions from the commission, excuse me?
Okay, since no questions, Mr. Chair, I do have a speaker request form for Edith Roberts. When the proponents are finished, we'll call her up.
All right.
We have
No
nothing
questions
further.
from us?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now open the public hearing. Do we gavel in the meeting?
Yeah, give me the gavel. I have one speaker, Mr. Chair, Edith Roberts. Is she here? There she is.
Yes.
Okay, gonna have to swear in.
Please raise
You
your
got
right
to get
hand.
right on that microphone.
State your name and address.
My name is Edith Roberts, 132 8th Avenue North,
Do you,
Jackson.
do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for allowing me to speak. I hope I'll make. I think I am.
You really got to get right down on
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
You can move it. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So I was relieved to hear that basically the plan is the same as the one that we currently have because those houses are very close to one another. At the staircase area, we have only 38 inches of distance between the two houses, and increasing that will be very bothersome. Just to note that the area between the houses is a convenience easement. So it actually serves the three houses. So it has to stay as big or as small as it is. And on top of that, there is a sewage line just behind that property that serves the three houses. Now, the only problem that we may have, my only concern with that is the parking in front of the house, which is very minimal. And when we had tenant living in this house, we had four tenants. They always struggled with the parking, and they would park sometimes on the grass in front of our house or block the street. And since that street is the street that leads to the ocean and where the catamaran and jet skis have passage, so that may cause a problem. So I just wanted the committee to know about that whenever it takes its decision. Thank you.
Thank
I
you
have
very
a
much.
question, ma'am. Mr. Chair, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Okay, these new microphones are great. What is your particular problem with the sewage line?
The fact that, well, first is to keep the easement, so we will have passage there because it serves us as well as the neighbor behind us. So I just want to be able, in case there is a problem, to have clear passage there for people and some tools or whatever are needed. On top of that, I lack the knowledge, but I would think that if the house is bigger and there are more people, maybe the sewer line is not adequate for as many people. I don't know. Again, it may be just because right now it's just us and the woman living behind us. If there will be two more houses, because the house 130 hasn't been occupied for the last 10 years. So this sewage line hasn't been really tested. So I just want to avoid problem.
Okay. Has there been a problem? No problem in the past.
Not while we are there because it's most of the time just us. The woman that lives behind us doesn't live there permanently. So she's there from time to time, mostly in holidays. So it's basically just us out of the three houses on one sewage line. So I don't know, it hasn't been really tested.
Have you talked to the developer about that?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you very much, Edith.
Through the chair, that item that I passed around earlier is from that speaker, so that is the document she was referring to.
Yeah, to confirm, we're adding 200 square feet with this proposal, right? Just enclosing an existing balcony?
Square footage addressed on the plans.
Uh-huh.
To answer your question, yes. The square footage answered through the plans is not to exceed what existing structure is there. And to address we're able to address the issues with the sewer lines and the intent if requested.
Can you go ahead and make sure that he has no more issues with your
Yes, by all
200
means,
feet?
please.
Yeah, no, that answered my question. I appreciate it. So you're not adding any new units, bin 2 units. It's just your concern is it hasn't been occupied in 10 years, right?
Correct. So if I may address the board towards the plan set.
Mhm.
Schedule A2 on it. The plan set will stipulate that the measurements of the entire property are within the walls existing. Also, it is required by the building code for any improvements on any property to be done past 2015 to be used in accordance to the current code. We are following the code of FBSC 8th edition for the Florida Code of Building, and the same requires us to do electrical upgrade, plumbing upgrade, and such matter without allowing us to extend within the property. That too should take away the issue with any type of plumbing setup, as well as because we're not extending outside of the walls, should not be any pertinent issue to properties alike or aside.
Thank you. That addresses my question.
Through the chair, can I just ask the applicant one thing? So on the plans you have submitted, that doesn't work anymore. In essence, the existing shows that the front porch is a single story, and the proposed has that as enclosed on the second story. So that was, I believe, was his question: is are you enclosing that porch on the second story?
It is correct.
Okay.
That is the adding portion of the square footage, but it would not be surpassing what is existing.
Okay. So yeah, they wouldn't be expanding beyond the footprint.
Through the chair, we're talking about the former footprint and your footprint will be identical.
That's correct.
Okay, but you're going to close 200 feet in on a porch. Is that what
So
we're
the
doing?
footprint of the base of that property is what is extended those 200 square feet additional that would be used on the second floor, not additional to what is existing. I believe
It's
not
an
understanding your
overhang.
question, or
It overhangs and gives you the extra 200 feet, but the footprint of the building maintains the same. Is that correct?
no, it's the opposite actually.
Oh.
The baseline of the building already has that extension. The upper portion of the building ends prior to that extension. The intent through the plans is to finish that wall at the extension of it.
Thank you. Now, sewage. What do you know about the sewer line and why there's a problem and potential problem, and what the remedies are if they're needed, or if it's sufficient as it stands?
So, in our experience with plumbing upgrades in OHS Contracting and ABT Construction, which are the permitting companies on this, we have a certified licensed plumber in order to upgrade the internal portion of the property. As that goes to be tapped into the sewage of the city line, it would not increase on the actual structure of it because it's made for that. Both units are ending in two different taps options, as if it was two different houses, one beside the other. You should not have any confliction. Now, past that would be the scope to be reviewed by the city itself in regards to sewage, because we do not have access to that.
Okay, I understand your response. It was clear, and thank you.
Are there going to be additional residents staying there? Is the capacity changing? The impact on parking? How would you address that?
Correct. If we may address the survey on that property, it ends exactly at the property line as it was outlined before. The request of that second, I believe it's the second board that we're supposed to go for the zoning. It's just in front of the property, which in zoning is reflected as the back of the property. That's a confusion over there. It has enough space for 4 complete spaces to be done. Currently, they are not in use because there is, I believe, a palm tree and some old logs that used to be used for parking. For that same reason, a car cannot be parked there. But the intent of the owners, as reflected on the plans, is to clear out that area to provide proper 4 parking spots. So if 4 adults were to be in these 2 dwellings, they have a parking space that doesn't conflict with the main street nor any other property alike.
The parking issues that were presented just a moment ago, are they caused by the tree and the issues you mentioned, or is it because there is a constant flood of people there, lots of traffic in and out?
So we're only able to speak to what is current, because the property just became part of the owners at hand. But it is our understanding that that can be a big factor because truly there's no way a vehicle could park over those logs. Now, if they were to be removed, as the plan states, there's more than enough space within the lot to have 4 vehicles.
There's 4 parking places, correct?
They can be. Currently, there's only 3.
But when you're done with your development, there'll be 4 spaces.
That is correct, sir.
Mr. Popoli,
If I may,
please, thank you.
so currently the structure basically occupies the entirety of the lot. The place he's talking about is actually in the right of way. So from a code standpoint, we wouldn't count those as required parking because they have to be on the property. This is one of the reasons he's going to the Board of Adjustment, in essence, to ask for use of the right-of-way parking in lieu of being able to provide it, because, again, the structure was built in the 30s and it takes up the entirety of the lot. But that's for the Board of Adjustment to figure out if they want to allow that or not.
Just have a question of clarification. So it's a single building now, and you're turning it into a multi-family structure too. How are you doing that? Are you just putting a wall in between? You're keeping the footprint, so I'm a little I'm like confused as to
It's
how it's
okay.
going to work.
It's okay. If I may, so based on the structure you can see on the copy of the plans provided, the structure on the first floor, as illustrated, would be the equivalent of the structure of the second floor. So the division becomes the ceiling of the first floor to be the flooring of the second floor. Nothing further than second floor.
And I am looking at the plans, but I'm not good at this. So there's a couple of bedrooms from each floor. Is that right? Two. Is it 3 bedrooms? I
It's
got
a 3-2
glasses
on both sides.
3
yes.
bedrooms. Gotcha. Okay.
The accommodation is made for a parenthood family with 2 different kids, basically.
Can you repeat that, please?
The accommodation of the plans is made for example 2 parents and a boy and a girl, or kids that require different rooms. That's the intent.
So each unit has one parking place. How many parking places for each?
2 per unit.
Is that correct, Mr. Popoli?
That would be the required amount. Whether or not the right-of-way can handle that, I really can't tell from the...
Okay, that's good. Conditional use.
And sorry, I'm still not clear. The original buildings that are there now, are they 2 or 3 bedroom?
We couldn't say because the structure itself from the inside was already with this type of structure when he was in possession of Mr. Wallen.
Oh, so there's no change in that.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Confirm there's never an existing interior stairway, right? It was always, the second floor is always accessed by the exterior stairs?
No. That staircase was falling apart when it was taken. It's still available for
The interior or the exterior set of stairs?
both of them, actually.
But are you getting rid of the interior set of stairs because it's 2 separate units?
In this case, yes.
Okay, understood. Thanks.
Now, if the board requires us to have both sets of staircases kept, the owners are more than ready to accommodate accordingly.
Christian, that would not be a requirement, would it?
It would be a call for the building official. I'm not sure. Typically, multifamily falls into a couple of categories. Some require interior access, some require exterior. But I can tell you from experience, the fire marshal is probably going to want a second egress from the second floor. So an exterior staircase would at a minimum be a fire escape.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else from the audience that wishes to speak that did not fill out a speaker's card? All right, not seeing anyone, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing if there are no other questions from commission, and bring the item back to board for discussion. All right, any discussion or motion?
Mr. Chair, if
Yes.
I may. I think we've got two items that have been discussed this evening that include the potential for sewage and the potential for parking. The new land development code and the old one, both of them say the same thing, the standards in 553, section F, that the use, the approval to move forward from the planning department commission would be one of the reasons we're here is to find that there's adequate public facilities and services pursuant to Article 4, adequate for public facility standards. Now, Mr. Popley said we have sufficient parking. Is that correct, Mr. Popley?
I would say practically, from a code standpoint, they would have to go through the Board of Adjustment because they can't fit it on
Okay,
the
so
property.
we will, if we were to vote for this, we would vote for it with one of the public facilities parking being dependent on what they get from the Board of Adjustment.
That's correct.
Okay. I don't know how to address the sewage issue, but I know somebody named Edith Roberts came tonight and told us that there could be problems there because there's going to be the potential for more waste than the current system can handle. And I've been doing this for a long time. I don't ever recall hearing one of these. What would we do to ensure that the sewage facilities that the new development is going to hook into are sufficient?
Typically, for a project like this, it'll go through a development permit review, building permit. Public Works, Beaches Energy, myself, the fire marshal, and the building official all review those. So if there's an issue with the existing sewer system, either on their property or the city's, that's going to be handled through Public Works during that process. If there isn't, they have a process that the developer would have to go through to help increase that capacity. I don't know the conditions of those lines there. They probably don't either. They'll have to, put a TV camera down there and see what they look like. Because it's an older part of the city, but that's part of the process for the review of the actual construction.
Thank you, Mr. Popley.
Thank you. Any motion?
A motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I wonder if we could amend that motion before we go ahead and everybody vote on it, is we include the two conditional uses from the code that I just read, and make sure that both the parking through the Board of Adjustment and the sewage through the regular permitting that takes place within the planning of the city for sewage is addressed. So I would like to modify that amendment to include code acceptable parking and code acceptable public services like sewage. Over.
Motion amended.
Would you be willing to restate the motion?
Motion approved upon conditional
On conditional use
of parking
approval.
and sewage. Yeah.
right, for sewage and parking.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Can we take a roll?
Yes.
Debbie Cole,
Yes.
Matthew Filer,
Yes.
Dean Haddock.
Yes. All right. The motion carries. The application is approved. Do I gavel on that one? I don't want to do it too much. All right. Okay, so item 2, is there a staff report?
Yes, give me 1 second. Our system's a little slow.
Thanks again for everyone's patience. We'll pick up the pace here, I'm certain of it.
Getting close. All right. Through the chair, this is PC application 0225. It's a conditional use application for outdoor seating. The property is located at 1368 Beach Boulevard, unit number 1396. The request is basically to transfer the ownership of an existing outdoor seating approval for an existing restaurant in the C2 zoning district. This property most recently has been the Crab Cake Factory and a number of other uses. Under the current code, outdoor seating is an approval that's non-transferable without your approval. So this is a new owner with a new tenant with a new restaurant concept, and they are requesting to have the outdoor seating approved once again. They're not making any structural changes to the outdoor seating that's already there. It's already fenced. It meets all the requirements for alcohol sales. The property is located within a very large commercial center that has many uses. So any use related to restaurant, retail, professional office, all of those are accounted for in the parking design. So the adjacent uses are predominantly commercial, both interior and outside. The only thing that's somewhat unique is across Penman is the Kirkland Cemetery, and then to the south is the police department building. But again, this has been used repeatedly for outdoor seating, so we're recommending approval.
All right. As a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. To the commission, does any board member have any ex parte communication to divulge? All right. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give any presentation?
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
My name is Lawrence Yancey, 1309 St. John's Bluff Road, North Jacksonville, Florida.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Now, I hear what the senior planner say. This have been several restaurants there. I know a couple of my representatives for the same use. We just coming back in with a change of owner, trying to make sure that we get the same use back again. And if you all ever have a chance to go visit this place, this is totally different concept on the inside than what it was before. It's much more family friendly, and it's very nice the way they aligned it up and everything. Steve, the fire marshal, and the building people all know what's going on in there. Now I've already approved the architecture drawings and the plans and the seating load for that application.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Yancey?
Yes, sir.
I just have one question. If you have any awareness of like the amount of seating there compared to its previous use?
No, it's the same amount of seating. Steve, the fire marshal, make sure we kept that the same.
Cool. Had a feeling on that. Any other questions?
I do. Do you plan to have any outdoor music?
No, we're not. If they haven't said they was, we understand the orders that we do. We got to go back through the city to get another variance for that, to have the outdoor seating and meet the municipal code for outdoor noise.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Yancey. I don't
Thank
think
you.
there are any other questions from the commission. We'll now go ahead and open up the public hearing. Do we have any speakers cards on this item?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I don't know that it's really the card we need, but it says Lawrence Yancey on it. So that's already complete, so there are no further speakers.
All right. Anyone else from the audience who has not filled out a speaker card wish to speak on this item? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring the item back to the board for discussion. Any discussion or motions from the commission? Who wants to go?
Motion to approve.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Could we go ahead and read the votes, please?
Debbie Cole,
Yes.
David Dahl,
Yes.
Matthew Filer,
Yes.
Dean Haddock.
Yes. It looks like the application is approved, and Congrats on the new restaurant.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board.
All right, moving on to agenda item C. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, you do. Through the chair, this is PC 0325. It's a conditional use application for a drinking establishment for a property located at 323 North 10th Avenue. The request is for a proposed drinking establishment for a property located in the C1 Commercial Limited Zoning District, pursuant to Section 34342 D3 of the Land Development Code. The property is a single tenant unit inside of a commercial center. The location was the previous use of the Spruce Plant Store, which did have beer and wine service, and prior to that, it was the Really Good Beer Stop tap room, which also obviously had on-site consumption. The site has been reviewed several times for compliance with Section 34393, which is the requirement for distance for alcohol consumption from other uses. So it's we're confident it meets that still. The proposed use is basically connected to a retail bicycle shop that will serve beer and coffee. The proposed use is a relatively new trend in the cycling community, but if you've been to North Carolina or South Carolina, they're pretty popular. The store will predominantly sell bikes, but will also serve beer and wine to the patrons while they're in the store. The conditional use is strictly for the alcohol consumption. The retail sales isn't allowed use. The adjacent uses are the other tenants in the commercial center, a mix of residential and commercial uses behind the structure. To the north, the commercial restaurant use across the street, which is Mellow Mushroom. The applicant's request should not negatively impact the existing shopping center character or parking. As the proposed shopping center, the parking is consistent with the uses allowed in the C1 zoning district. There have been no previous issues with the last two tenants that I'm aware of that had a similar use. No code enforcement. Based on the information in the application and the analysis, staff is recommending approval of PC 0325.
Thank you very much, Mr. Popoli. As a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication on this matter? All right, no. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give any presentation?
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Alex Brown, 655 Silver Lake Circle, Atlantic Beach.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys. I know it's late. I appreciate your consideration for this. Like Mr. Popoli mentioned, we are intending to kind of continue the use of the space, but in a different way. We've just opened, just a few months ago, a endurance sports concept store, which is similar to like you've seen in other places, and we're really trying to drive a community-focused environment that welcomes athletes and riders and just community members to experience what endurance sports and cycling is all about. And so, yes, we do have a coffee shop inside, which has been really cool and does help encourage community within our existing community. It helps kind of serve as a gateway to bring new people into experience what we have already know and love. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions about how serving alcohol will also help this as well. Truthfully, I don't anticipate selling a whole lot of beer and wine, but on the occasion that somebody is hanging out, getting their bike worked on, that's the intention, is to be able to offer a beer or a glass of wine or something, and then also be able to serve beer and wine during certain events like bike races, which truthfully, knowing that almost all of them happen in Europe, these will be in the morning. So we don't anticipate a large conflict with any other events that are happening around us in the immediate community. But we're excited to continue to grow and kind of introduce a seemingly new concept to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Are you going to allow alcohol sales at any time during opening hours of the store? Is it going to be limited anyway?
Currently, we don't have plans to necessarily limit it, just due to the fact that, like I said, on the occasion that there's a race in Europe, these often happen at 9 or 10 a.m. But that said, most of our existing customer base is often riding during those times as well. So we do anticipate kind of a more traditional schedule for when we would be selling alcohol. We'd be open to considering something like that, but I would anticipate similar to brunches and things like that, that we're not anticipating a large volume of sales early in the morning or midday even.
What's your current operating hours?
Our current operating hours are 8 to 6 p.m. during the week on Tuesday to Friday, and then on the Saturday is the only day we're open on the weekend. We open at 10:30 to 6 p.m. So we're trying to capture those early morning coffee sales more likely.
Cool, thank you.
Through the chair,
Please.
Mr. Brown. This sounds great. I love it. It's a great idea. What are you going to do when the Peloton rolls in and there's 110 bikes? You got a place to put them?
So currently the landlord has allowed us to park a bike rack that is removable, and we just take it in at the end of the day and put it out in the morning. That allows us to park almost 20 bikes in that single space. So that is one of the things that I think is good about what we're doing, is that a large majority of our customers, can maybe comparatively large majority do arrive on bike, which is nice from a parking perspective. The other end of that is, in my experience, and I've been in this cycling community for a long time, we're currently seeing on a Saturday morning, which would kind of be our peak traffic, at most about 20 riders coming back all at once. Throughout the day, we tend to see people come back in. Not everybody wants to have a drink when they're sweaty.
Yeah, that makes good sense. My question is, are there going to be any issues with the public getting through in front of your space?
Sure.
When you have a bunch of
Yeah.
bikes, but you said you have a place to keep 20 of them.
Correct. And then obviously we have space inside as well. And as we have previously already done with the space, the plaza submitted for an event permit around the holidays when we were anticipating more traffic. And I think if we were to encounter a circumstance where we would anticipate more traffic, we would certainly apply for a permit to put
And
that on
it seems to me that if you had a large group of cyclists arrive after riding 20, 30, 40 miles, they would want something to drink. And so they would probably send people in and stay with their bikes. I mean, how would you secure the bikes, and where would they?
Yeah, so we do have more or less a long cable that we can lock more than one bike up if necessary. There have been a few instances where people do come and linger for a little while, and we're always willing to help people secure their bikes.
That's all I'd be worried about is public transit in that space if they can get through. Thank you.
Through the chair, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of information you don't normally see. Commercial entities are allowed to have basically a tent permit 6 times a year, where they can have basically a weekend outdoor sale festival kind of thing. And with that, there's a bunch of stipulations that go through with the fire marshal for ADA access and that kind of stuff. So it does get reviewed pretty thoroughly. And
That's what I was talking about. Is
Yeah.
free passage of the public. It does not get people caught in a clog up where they can't get through.
Yeah, no, Steve will make sure it's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown, just I'm a fan of this concept, just like Dave. So my point is a little bit of the opposite. I just want to, while I have a little bit of a bully pulpit here, just to encourage you to have these events and bring people to that area of town, because that particular parking lot and that particular parking lot is a little bit of a ghost town during some parts of the day. So I'm really glad to have some life in there, and so we just really look forward to you, just bringing more people to that area and bringing the community together. It's great.
Thank you for
Second
that.
Just to keep us moving here, if there's nothing else to share from your behalf, Mr. Brown, or any other questions from the commission, I'll go ahead and open up to public hearing if there's any comment. Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right. We'll now open the public hearing. Any speakers cards on this item?
No, Mr. Chair, they're not.
All right. Anyone in the audience who has not filled out a speaker card wish to speak on this item? We are not seeing anyone, so we'll go ahead and close the hearing. That was efficient, and bring it back to the board for discussion. Is there a motion or discussion?
Seeing no motion, Mr. Chair, I would motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right. Can we please read the roll call?
Debbie Cole,
Yes.
David Dahl,
Yes.
Matthew Filer,
Yes.
Dean Haddock.
Yes. The application is approved. Congratulations. And we will now move on to item D. Staff report, please.
Through the chair, this is application 0424, 25, excuse me. This is a conditional use application to allow for the construction of multifamily dwellings, townhomes in the commercial limited zoning district pursuant to section 34-342 D15 using the RM1 standards. A quick correction was pointed out that this was noted as 4 units on the application. It is actually 3. So what you're looking at is both the hand drawn and the new site plan that was presented. So it'll be 3 townhomes. Under the C1 list of uses, multifamily is an allowed use with the approval of the Planning Commission as a conditional use request. The subject property is 75 feet in width and 125 feet deep with an overall area of 9,300 square feet. The actual area is still the actual area will be determined by a licensed surveyor, so it might be slightly different. The property is currently occupied by a quadplex of apartments or condos and was constructed in 1943. The property is located in the AE flood zone district and will require flood hazard ordinance compliance, which will involve elevating the structure. Since the structure is very old and needs substantial work, any renovation would likely trigger the need to elevate the structure to meet this requirement, which isn't really practical given the age of the structure. The applicant is proposing to build 3 townhomes following the dimensional standard criteria in RM1 for townhomes. The property is located east of 3rd Street and therefore, based on the densities established in the comprehensive plan, would be entitled to 40 units per acre based on the minimum lot size. The property could be built for up to 6 multifamily units if it were true multifamily condo or apartments. This would be the maximum, so the reality of the building footprint requirement, parking, and things like that might dictate a lower number. But again, they're only asking for 3 fee simple townhomes. It's worth noting that with townhomes, the property will go through a plat process to subdivide each lot. And as new construction, it'll go through a fairly rigorous civil engineering review as well as the full building plan review. So any issues with utilities or design will be handled at that stage. And actually, not that it's 100% relevant, but technically speaking, the way this is laid out would meet the requirements as proposed in the new land development code. So this shouldn't run into any issues as the code transfers from the old one to the new one in the next coming months. Excuse me. So based on the application and analysis, the Planning and Development Department is recommending approval of PC 0424.
In one moment, we'll open to the audience for comment. As a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any member of the board have any ex parte communication to share at the moment? I'm seeing no. Let's see, would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give any presentation?
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Fazzanelli, 712 Shipwatch Drive, East Jacksonville, 32225.
And John Nagy, 3572 Richmond Street, Jacksonville, Florida, 32205.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Please proceed. You got 3 minutes.
Actually, we don't put a time limit on the applicants.
Oh, we don't. Okay. You have however much time you need.
We'll be briefer in 3 minutes. Basically, we're just asking for the condition of use to do 3 townhomes, be simple, in lieu of some of the other opportunities that we could go after in there. And we understand the facts of going through the building review and so forth, the public works. I've done a bunch of work in Jacks Beach. I know all the guys at the public works department. I know what I'm going to have to do to the alleyway. We're taking care of the parking by using the alleyway and driving into the rear of these units that we put the garage, because in the front, when the development turned off was improved, we allowed them to put 6 parking spaces on the side of 11th Avenue South. So that's why we're going to put the driveways in the rear, in lieu of doing away with the 6 parking spaces and allow the city to continue to have those public parking spaces in the front, which would be the front facing 11th Avenue South. Obviously, we're going to keep up with the architectural in the area and not do anything crazy, which I've done before in Jacks Beach, but that was another lifetime ago. Thank you.
If there's questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but I'll let Fabio speak for us right now.
Yeah, we might have some questions for you. Anyone on the PC have questions? Just one question for me. You're aware there's a restaurant next door and all of that stuff, and you mentioned keeping up with like the vibe of that particular area. Could you just elaborate a little bit more on kind of what you envision from that? I don't need any specifics.
You can do that. Yeah, I built the restaurant back in 05. I also did the Marbella condominium back in 05, 06. And yeah, we're aware of that, and we're going to keep the vibe, if you will, for Jacks Beach.
I appreciate that.
And
Thank you very much.
To add, actually, I own 11 South Bistro, and I actually own the property that we're talking about now. Okay. So my intention is to absolutely make sure we keep the vibe the right way.
A lot of fans of that restaurant, so I mean that was my primary concern in asking that question.
And actually, I appreciate that for the record, because 11 South's been around for 20 years, and I know we get supported by the community like there's no tomorrow, and we appreciate that. We always have.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. No other questions from the commission? We can go ahead and open it up for public hearing. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Cards, Mr. Chair. First one is Lisa Brown. 3 minutes, Lisa. Come on down.
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address.
Lisa Brown, 1115 2nd Street South.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I sent an email to Mr. Popoli, and he was a wealth of information. I just want to make sure that's acknowledged. And you all just answered what really was my biggest concern, and that I just want to have it on record, that those 5 parking spots on 11 South, right in front of this this lot, are public spots that are used by the restaurant in the evening. They're used by Dubin Clark, the business across the street, during the day, used by residents, used by people going to the beach all the time. So my concern was really to keep those parking spots there, and it sounds like that's what their plan is, and instead put the driveways and corresponding parking areas on the south side of the lot, off the alley. So that is really the news I was looking for. So we're anxious to see what it is going to look like, what architecture is going to look like. We live right across the street. We will be very glad to get rid of the building that is currently there. But that's our comment at this point. So that's, if we can keep keep the 5 parking spots that were there, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I respond to that?
Let's get your second speaker first. And I can read his name. He can come on up and speak. Bobby Welton. Are you here? There he is. Can you hear me, Bobby?
I'm gonna speak into the microphone.
Roger that.
And I would like to request, I've been to council meetings, zoning meetings, these kind of meetings, and the new system is better. But the reason you are talking is for people in this room to hear you, not for you to communicate with yourselves necessarily. So you need to speak into the microphone, just like you were singing a song. You can't talk over here and lean over here and do that. That doesn't work. I'm just like that. So it's
Got
helpful
it.
to us that are.
Did we swear you in? Or do we?
Okay.
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address. Your name and address.
Bobby Welton, 1032 First Street, Townhouse 2, Jacks Beach.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. We've been the residents, by the former speakers, and myself that live within 100 feet of this site. I have been concerned for 15 years about the decrepit, deplorable condition that the owner, I think Mr. Nagy, has allowed this property. It should be condemned. It should have been condemned 5 years ago. It is rotting, falling apart, and really it's not acceptable for human habitat, but the city did not go inspect it for the mold and decay it is allowed to become. Therefore, that sets a precedent about the attitude of what the property should be. Secondly, the 5 parking spaces on 11th Avenue South are not going to be removed. That's part of the infrastructure plan. That has nothing, they're not allowing any benefit to the city because they're not going anywhere. They've been there, and that's part of the master plan, and they're not leaving. It is imperative that they do enter from the alleyway because there is no possible entrance on 11th Avenue South. That's good. But they want 3 separate units. They don't want it to be a condominium. So the 3 separate units, there should be some unity amongst the painting, size, decoration, or appearance of these places. The homes that are for sale across the street from this location cost anywhere from $1.8 million to $2 million. So we can't have the community to be degraded in spite of the fact that this is the worst looking apartment facility in Jacksonville Beach. So we must be attuned to what the standards should be and give some elevated interest in what's going to happen there. And at the present time, the restaurant only has about maybe 18 to 20 parking spaces on its property. And 50 cars come there every day. So the whole community is affected by the traffic going to the restaurant. And there is no accommodation with the property that he's talking about that he owns to facilitate proper parking. So the parking is going all over to what the residential streets are required for the residents and use by activity in the area rather than be consumed every day for lunch and dinner through the traffic caused by the restaurant. So all of this should be considered in this application.
Thank you very much. Would the applicant like to address any of these concerns? And let me just remind you to please address your comments to the board and just thank you. Speak into the mic. There you go.
Yeah, in no particular order, I would bring up a couple things. So when 11th Avenue South that street was being reconstructed, I think due to the storm surge or sewage and all the other things we were trying to upgrade in that area, we came to the point where that was all being rebuilt. and we got to the section of the property that we own, which is the property we're talking about right now, and we put those, I think it was 7, but maybe six parking spots, parking spots into that spot. That was actually not necessarily the master plan, because I sat there in a meeting myself personally with the different Jacksonville Beach people that were involved from the city, and we're deciding whether we're going to put curbs up there to protect the property versus allowing slots to have 6 parking spots or 7 parking spots. At the time, I very easily had a quick decision to make. It was like, add more parking. Why would we not add more parking? So I actually allowed our property to have those parking slots put in, and then that's what became the reality of that. It wasn't actually a part of the pregame, because I was asked the question, what do you want to do with your property? Do you want curbs or do you want parking spots? So let's grab parking spots. So I just want to say, because I do feel very strongly that 11 South and the property next to it that we want to put townhouses on. We want to be part of the community. We've been part of the community for 22 years. 22 years, sorry. And I think that what we plan to do is put 3 units that will be very akin to the units that were built across the street from us, very akin to the units that are built across 2nd Street going toward 1st Street that are then on their way to Marbella. All those units are wonderful, and we want to be part of that and add some wonderful units. We have held that property for a long period of time, approximately 13 years, 12 years, don't quote me on, but it's about something like that. My wife and I bought that at the time with the intent to maybe expand 11 South at one point. After 21 years of 11 South being the business that it has been, we've decided sometimes you don't mess with something, and you don't want to sit there and change the footprint of a restaurant and maybe not have it feel the way it used to feel. So now we decided to use that property to do something better and actually add some better living space and have it improved and have it look good and do all the right things in the community. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. That's our plan for it, and I guess that's my comments.
And as a contractor and a developer, I would love nothing more than be able to sell those units for $2 million plus. Believe me, it's not going to be anything less than what you see across the street, and it'll probably be more.
Thank you.
You hear me okay?
So
When you speak into the mic, I can. Not like him.
don't make me bang the gavel, y'all. Next thing, looks like we don't have any additional speakers. Are there any other questions from the commission? Okay. So we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time and bring the matter back to the board for
Wait a minute. I signed up for general comment and on this issue. Isn't that correct? Will you look at the paper?
You
I
can.
signed up. The forms. I don't have the form. You took the form. There were 2 reasons to speak.
Right. We're going to close this item first, and then we can go to the second one after.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public comment and bring the conversation back to the PC. So anyone have any questions, commentary, discussion items?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
I'm looking at the land development code standards applicable to conditional uses item. There's a couple items in there that talk about the character of the development and fits the neighborhood. Design proposed development minimizes adverse effects, including visual impact, and the proposed use of adjacent properties and provides adequate screening and buffering, parking. I think that's all been addressed tonight. I get the feeling that Mr. Welton is not happy with it, but I didn't really understand when he was speaking what the problem was. I didn't see a clear problem. It seemed like he felt there was a problem, but I didn't see any. I didn't understand it. So that's my comment on where we are here. I think it meets the conditional use standards, and I would be in favor of it.
Did you have a comment? Did you have a comment? That's cool. So what I heard from Mr. Welton was related to parking primarily. looks like that is remaining unchanged for this. The other item I heard was related to quality of the environment of the neighborhood and the surrounding buildings. I take the applicant of their word and their investment that they want to create something of value in that space. So that was pretty clear to me. Perhaps, Mr. Popley, you could remind us on what we're specifically voting on here, because the PC would be approving the use correct, excuse me, but not the further details that would be handled through other parts of the process, correct?
That's correct. You're approving a conditional use for multifamily in the C1 commercial zoning district. In this case, 3 units.
So I wanted to make that clear, just to be very clear on what we would be voting to approve in this conditional use versus the remaining delta there, which is outside of the authority of this particular commission. So is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Could we take the roll call, please?
David Dahl,
Yes.
Debbie Cole,
Yes.
Matthew Filer,
Yes.
Dean Haddock.
Yes. The application is approved. Congratulations. And now to the planning department report. Moving on to next business. I know we had a general comment. Do we need to work that in here as well?
Yeah, I'll be quick and you can handle that at the end.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys watched the meeting, but council agreed to postpone the review of the land development code proposed until after February 20th, when they're going to hold another public workshop. So that'll be in council chambers. We'll obviously notice it and advertise it, but they'll be able to take comments in from the public prior to them actually going through the first and second reading. So they took your recommendation and went with it.
Great, thank you. Just a reminder, everyone, new land development code coming up. There is an opportunity for public participation in that process. Highly encourage everyone to go or watch the videos, participate in that workshop. It's on the 20th of February.
Time, Mr. Popley, is it 6 o'clock on the 20th?
It's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Thank you.
I misplaced my agenda.
So we have a new land development code that's moving through. This is the next workshop on that before it goes to the first reading at the city council. Yes, sir. 20th February.
Right into the microphone. It's the 20th of February, 6 o'clock, right here. See you there.
I think I just spoiled your second announcement as well.
Well, again, this is tentative. Council has tentatively scheduled the first reading for March 3rd and the second reading on March 17th. So if everything stays on schedule, there's no major changes. By the end of March, we should be in a position to have an adopted land development code, and then we'll spend April training boards and staff. So that's kind of the plan right now. One additional item on the dais, I gave you guys what is a currently very rough draft of our proposed bylaws. We are still working through it. You know, if there are changes on the code side when this goes through, there may be changes here, but I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to look at it. The next meeting we're going to have will be your organizational meeting for the year, so for elections and things like that. My goal is to have you guys have some input or feedback on this at that point. We'll probably postpone the actual adoption of bylaws until after the code is approved, but this would give you guys a working document of procedures, and it takes a lot of the detailed specificity out of the land development code, so you are free to set your meeting dates and meeting times as long as you meet the requirements of meeting twice a month, and spells out a lot of the details we've sort of talked about but have never really been formally adopted. So the intent is to be a roadmap, but obviously if we missed something or you have comments, please take a hard look at them.
Being the old guy here, I didn't hear the beginning of that.
Oh.
How are we going to transmit that data to us? So we can chop it. You're going to give us a draft to look at, correct?
Right, it should be on the dais there. I'm going to email it as well, and it'll be in the attached
Okay.
agenda for that next meeting. But we took a lot of what was in the code and moved it over here. We played a little bit with the words, tried to clear up some of the known issues that we've run into with how the process worked. But again, the idea is to give you guys the flexibility to have your own process and amend it as you see fit, as long as you stay within the confines of what the land development code says. So hopefully this is a good step forward.
I see the document. Thanks for helping me find it.
No problem.
Do we have a date for our next meeting yet?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the February 24th, sorry. The week after the 20th. Yeah, thank you.
I think we have a handful of people out that week. I know I'm out that week, so but I'll coordinate with you on email. Great. Do we lose our public comment?
Yeah, I would still open the courtesy of the floor just because we did have a card, even if he's not here.
Yeah, there's nobody here.
Okay. We will now open the floor to public comment. Hopefully you have a speaker card. I guess Officer and Mr. Brown, if you have any public commentary for us.
No, close it.
I appreciate that. We'll go ahead and you didn't see Mr. Walton out there. We'll go ahead and close the public comment, but he knows our next workshop on the LDC, so we might see him. I suppose if there's no further ado, I gavel us closed. All right, system shutdown. Thanks, everyone.